Hi you guys, I'm under the alias of Terri Goodwin. I just made a video a little bit ago. My phone got too hot and it shut off. So I'm actually going to start over so that we have it just on one video. What I'd like to disclose and discuss today is my case specifically. I am under an alias because there is a court order, an illegal court order, to scrub everything off the internet that has my original documented name on it. So, and the reason they've done that is to literally hide the truth. In today's society, we are starting to see how they are scrubbing stuff off the internet. So the good thing about that is that you guys can actually understand that scrubbing things off the internet means they're trying to hide the truth, okay? Because I have no problem with my documentation being placed in the public's eye right now. All of it. So, okay, so it's been an interesting morning so far. I actually do have a court hearing tomorrow. My case is extremely relevant to everybody in the United States. It sets case precedence. If you do not know what that means is if I lose my case, then any case that comes behind mine that's anything like mine can be used to literally crush any parent with the same types of issues. Now, I'll go over my case a little bit. My children were medically kidnapped, taken directly from their hospital beds. It is my daughter's case that raised awareness in the United States as to what medical kidnapping is. Of course, a lot of people still haven't heard about it, but believe me, before my daughter's case, there was no terminology, and now that terminology has come out, and it is called medical kidnapping. What is medical kidnapping? Medical kidnapping is where they remove your child to either cover medical malpractice or for a sinister reason, such as taking them so that they can perform a drug or clinical trial on them. Okay, my daughter's particular case, it was both. So medical kidnapping is a very real thing. Since my daughter's case, thousands and thousands of families have come forward to express that their children were also medically kidnapped. Now, underneath the Code of Federal Regulation 14.116, it does allow them to do drug trials on wards of the state, whether they're temporary wards of the state or permanent wards of the state. That means they have a motive to come in and take your child. They have some minor documentation that allows them to do that, and then the children suffer. So in particular, in my case, my older daughter suffered a near fatality in the state's care, and it's 6.5 years of this that I've been dealing with. Now, I have been an advocate in the community for far longer than 6.5 years. I was very well respected. I think I still am, except for the bad guys don't respect me. You know, I was a public speaker. I would be invited to speak at like Luke Air Force Base and that sort of thing in regards to autism. Now, the relevance of my case in the United States is really about medical freedom, which is directly what we're all facing right now. So the original start of my case and me wanting a second opinion and them not allowing it and them removing my daughters and forcefully doing horrible things to my daughters and making them suffer physically, and then they went on to be sexually exploited. So this case covers a lot of grounds for a lot of stuff that they've done, very well documented. Now, I do have a hearing tomorrow. My trial is set to start technically in September. They haven't even called one witness, and they just pulled my attorney that's been on my case for over a year off the case and replaced that attorney this morning. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on. I do have a very strong faith in God, so I honestly believe that there is going to be victory, and I believe that this case is so important. Every family's case is important. Every child is important. But this particular case, if I lose, affects every family in America. Okay, every child. So in particular, let me back up a second. I represented myself in the lower courts. I did get a lot of stuff on record. Most people don't ever get things on record. I got stuff on record. I went on to represent myself in the Court of Appeals and the Arizona Supreme Court 3 times. I ended up with a letter of innocence saying that I was absolved of all accusations. I moved to Florida because my life was in danger here in the state of Arizona. There was a bullet hole in my kitchen window, that kind of thing. And I moved to Florida, and out of the blue, without any warning, they came and arrested me. I have no criminal history. I have no domestic violence history, you know, in my family, with my, you know, children or anything, and with my ex-husband. I've never done drugs, ever. My case is pretty solid. I also have had a fingerprint clearance card for over 40 years. So there's no, this really was truly a medical kidnapping case. What it's become is a case that involves RICO, which is organized crime. I have meticulously documented it the entire time. And that my case is not the only case we've documented. So I have released 7 cases online in the state of Arizona that we've comprised together, but we have many other cases besides just those 7 cases. And what we've documented is this pattern of players that are involved in this organized crime. So for instance, as an example, Brenda Birch is a psychologist. She's brought in multiple states to crush parents, and she was brought in on my case. However, I do have 3 normal psychological evaluations with absolutely no mental health illness. So this particular psychologist that was brought in on my case, in most cases, they do have documentation because they've met with the client or the person that's supposed to be the client, and she had never met me. And so now my case is, I am in danger. I am on the front lines. I do have witnesses that are also in danger. The number 1 witness in my case was my original psychologist, and he is dead. I have another witness that will be critical in my case coming up, and she is the court-appointed special advocate who stepped forward and said that my girls were in imminent danger in the state's care, and that my older daughter was going 3 days at a time without eating. She was being starved to death. She did end up experiencing a near fatality and then went on to be sexually exploited. So the sickness of these people, and I wouldn't even call, I just call them sick because it's disgusting what they do, but it's very important to document all this. So the more that they commit fraud, the more it's documented, and the more it continues to get into the right hands. My information is already in powerful hands, and this case is being watched closely. And but they do continue to still do things that they shouldn't be doing. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about what the charges are against me. So my daughters were medically kidnapped, and they had multiple surgeries, things like brain surgery, colon surgery, stomach surgeries, a fundoplication, which is the stomach being wrapped around the esophagus, those types of things, okay? The reason they did those surgeries is because the doctors said they were necessary, and because they had supportive or alleged supportive nuclear scans, MRIs, you know, scopes and that kind of thing that said that those surgeries were necessary. The actual charges against me are for the surgeries that the doctors did. So this is a hard concept for people to understand, but I really want you to try to really grasp what I'm saying. So if your mom went in to have surgery and you consented on the paperwork because the doctor said, oh, your mom needs surgery, and you're the one that's going to be consenting, and then the doctor messes up and then presses criminal charges against you because you signed the consent form for him to do the surgery. You weren't physically in the room performing the surgery. You didn't recommend the surgery. Okay, that is what I'm facing. Literally, those are my charges. Doesn't make sense. Absolute insanity. However, if I lose any parent that comes behind me that has any kind of anything to do with medical can be criminally charged once the doctor decides, well, crap, I shouldn't have done that surgery, or crap, I messed up, I committed medical malpractice. We're just going to press the charges on whoever consented to the surgery. It doesn't make sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? The real reason I'm facing those charges is because of my documentation, me coming forward, me speaking out, and I am literally facing, are you ready? 144 years in prison for my charges against me. There's 8. 2 of them are added on emotional abuse for making them go through the surgeries, but 6 of them are actual surgeries. So as you see the press being covered, in fact, there was something I shared on my timeline the other day where the person got only 1 year for murdering their foster child. I'm facing 144 years for the surgeries the doctor said were necessary. Do you see where the imbalance is in our society and what's going on? The good news is that God is with me, and He has told me there will be victory. So I'm looking forward to that day. I don't know what the victory is going to look like, but I do feel there will be success. With or without me making it through this alive, there is going to be success. My documentation is in the right hands, and we will make sure that people are held accountable for what they have done to myself and my daughters, and hopefully be able to protect other people in the United States from such atrocities as the stupidity of this case and the fact that this is how the doctors think they're going to get away with what it is that they want to do. So the other good news for me that brings me a little comfort is for the general public to really understand the depth of this now. As we know, I think her name is Stella Emanuel, something like that. The lady that came forward about the HCQ, hydroxychloroquine, and how she said, you know, that none of her patients died when she prescribed that, and now they're scrubbing all her stuff off the internet. That is a perfect example of there's good doctors and bad doctors out there. There's good judges and bad judges out there. You know, there's good lawyers and bad lawyers out there. But in my case, what we see is this pattern of particular players that they've put on, that are put there to crush me. So I actually have been in jail. I spent 6 months in jail based off of a falsified indictment. All of that stuff is being addressed, is very well documented, and just, again, in the right hands. So if you're a praying person, I just ask that you please pray for me and my family, but I also pray that, or I also ask that you pray for the children in the United States, because it is vital that I win this case. It is vital that we break through with what's happening here in Arizona. I believe that Arizona is the epicenter for the entire country. I believe that based off of factual documentation that shows the RICO crime ring here in Arizona is the worst in the United States. So let me just throw out some fast facts. The United States is #1 for sex trafficking in the entire world. Arizona is #1 for sex trafficking in the entire world. Okay, well, let me rephrase that. Arizona is #1 in the United States for sex trafficking. Okay. 88% of the children human trafficked come from Child Protective Services. 91% of the children removed by Child Protective Services, the parents do not have allegations of physical or sexual abuse against them. That means 91% of the children being put into Child Protective Services should never have been removed in the first place. Here in the state of Arizona, $666,000 is given federally for each child that enters into the system. Yet they claim they never have enough money to take care of that child. Do you see how people are pocketing money? Okay. They also get additional matching funds when it comes to let's see, we have parents who are veterans, their children are removed and placed into Child Protective Services, and the Social Security money that comes along with that, the federal government will match. Okay, that's one way they make extra money. If there is spousal support, the federal government matches the spousal support once the child becomes a ward of the state. There's medical kidnapping. When they medically kidnap a child, then they get matching federal funds in order to perform drug trials on them. Now, let me explain something. I am not anti-government, okay? I believe there does need to be some sort of people helping people make rules and laws, okay? Otherwise, we'd be living in the wild, wild west. I don't really want that. However, what has happened in the direction that this country has gone in, we're talking about complete and total communism. That is really what's happening here. So I'm going to give you an example in my case of communism. So years ago, I was in front of a judge, and she stated that I needed to hand over the names, addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses of everybody I'd ever talked to about my case. Now, if you know anything about what happened in Germany with the Nazis and the Gestapo, they would come into people's homes and say, you give me the name of your neighbor who's Jewish, or somebody to turn in, or we're taking your husband, or we're taking, you know, one of your family members. So I told the judge no. It was under threat of jail. It was in writing I was going to go to jail. And I actually had court watchers come to the courthouse and surround me physically so that they would not arrest me. Okay? So when people tell me, or they ask me, what's the most important thing I can do to help fight this cause? You find the cases that set case precedent in the United States, and you protect those people. You show up at their court hearings. You make sure that those people are completely protected as much as possible. Okay? Now, I did spend time in jail through a falsified indictment, 6 months in jail. They withheld my heart medicine. I almost died, and I lost blood flow to my colon. So I do suffer from health conditions that were exacerbated by what the state of Arizona has done to me. If you're familiar with Nancy Schaefer, she was a senator that spoke out years ago in regards to human trafficking. She was murdered along with her husband and the filmmaker. They were making a film about Child Protective Services. Linda Collins Smith was murdered approximately 9 months ago, a senator that was preparing documentation on human trafficking. Now, I do want to make it very clear, even if I died tomorrow, my documentation will not be going away. It is in the proper hands. It can prove RICO, and it can defund CPS here in the state of Arizona. It can also cause quite a bit of problems for the state of Arizona, because numerous judges are listed on there participating in RICO, along with former prosecutors, that sort of thing. Now, in my case, as I've said, people are dead now. People have been threatened. In fact, a court-appointed special advocate, she was threatened and forced to destroy evidentiary evidence in my case, which is relevant now for my criminal case, because you're not supposed to be destroying any evidence. So those were the former state prosecutors, Kathleen Martonic and Jennifer Hunter. Well, there's another Arizona case right now that has Kathleen Martonic on it as well. So what we've really done is tracked a lot of these cases in the state of Arizona, where you have these same repetitive players that are off. What I call them bought off. Basically, they're paid state whores that are placed in there to sabotage cases, especially loudmouth cases like myself. Okay. I do appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate everybody's prayers. I appreciate people sharing videos like this. I've been fighting this for a long time. My children have been in the thick of it, fighting it for a long time. God watch over them, please. For they've just been through so much. Not only did they try to that they almost murder them through their clinical trial that they were forced to be on, but they also went on to be sexually exploited. This has got to stop, okay? My case is very important. It's very, very important. Every child's important, every case is important, but my case is critical, okay? And it can bring down the entire cabal in the state of Arizona, along with the other documented cases that we have. What else did I want to tell you today? Yes, my girls have been through living hell. When I went to the human trafficking rally on last Friday, that was one of the best events of my life, because to see so many people out there standing up for the children was so beautiful. And I don't do this video to you know, I'm not just bitching about the system. I'm trying to educate the public. We have a problem. We need to protect our children and our families. We need to hold the judges accountable, okay? They're not above the law. I hear people say all the time, oh, they're, you know, they're above the law. They're not above the law. They are not above the law. And, oh, also I'd like to mention that in the state of Arizona, Child Protective Services is a for-profit business. They are not part of the government. So when people say, oh, I hate the government, they do this, they do that, CPS is its own freestanding business for profit here in Arizona. And what's happening is that they have illegal contracts. So a lot of the way that they do things, people don't understand how they get away with this. And how they get away with it is these illegal contracts. What has Trump done to address this? He has written several executive orders, which are vital in helping to fight back against what it is they're doing. I always tell people everything in writing, everything in writing. If it's not in writing, then it doesn't have the significant value legally that it does if you're just saying it out loud, okay? Everything in writing in my case is so well documented meticulously, and I'm a very organized person, and I've put out that information you know, throughout the years, but also most importantly, it's in the right hands. Judges can be held accountable. Case managers can be held accountable. Police officers can be held accountable. We must push as a society to make sure that that happens when something goes wrong, okay? Now, I'm sorry, I made a video this morning and it cut out because it got too hot, because it's Arizona and it's 120 billion degrees here. So I can't remember if I've mentioned that I'm facing 144 years in prison, which is absolutely insane, because we have people that have murdered and only are doing 1 year. So that just goes to show you the significance of my case and how much they wish me to be dead. And it's a miracle that I'm still standing and that I'm not dead, because believe me, they have tried multiple times to kill me on multiple occasions. So I'm grateful to still be standing, and I do believe that God is going to do amazing and powerful things with this case. So if you want to help, share this video, because we need to educate the general population about medical kidnapping, the stats for Child Protective Services, where the kids are coming from that are being human trafficked, and last but not least, the contracts, the illegal contracts that they have. So I'll just throw a few contracts out there that they have that are illegal. Number one, Phoenix Children's Hospital has a contract, we have the physical contract, with the state of Arizona, where they make a financial profit for every time they turn a child over to the state. So it's about $6,800 that they can make off of each child that's turned into Child Protective Services. The hospitals have a financial vested interest in removing your child, not only to stop it from medical malpractice lawsuits, but also to financially put money into their pocket. Okay, it's a legal contract. In addition, the state pays the doctor to testify against them when they're the ones that turned the child over. Totally illegal. Okay, I am very good with contracts, so I understand the relevance and significance of this and just how insane these contracts have become. Now, Trump understands this. He gets this. He's working on it. Would I like my daughters to be home tomorrow? Absolutely. But I also understand the entangled spiderweb criminal organization that's going on here in Arizona, and it's very complex, and we can't have any loopholes where they can get out from underneath this. They need to be brought to justice. people like the judges, people like the public defenders that don't represent the people, people that are not following our Constitution. Every one of them needs to be held accountable. Will every one of them be held accountable? No, but some of them are going down. And so I used to have this hashtag that I marketed, just a little inside thing, and it's called hashtag Let's Play Jenga. Okay, if you've ever played that block game Jenga, then you would understand if you pull out a block from Jenga, you can collapse the entire tower. My case, when I pull out a block, can collapse the entire tower, their entire RICO system. That is how important my case is. And that is why I use the hashtag Let's Play Jenga. Okay, because I was letting them know, if you're going to keep pursuing me, I will collapse your entire system. And that's what I am seeking to do, is to bring to light, dark to light, all of the stuff that has been going on and how they do these criminal organizations here in the state of Arizona. Okay? I think I've said a lot. Thank you for listening. And, you know, thank you for your support. And I do appreciate it. And I ask that you please do not use my real name, that you do use my alias, which is Terri Goodwin. Thank you so much. All right.